Evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. It is Wednesday today, and we are back for another Confidence Convo. This is episode 20, and this week we're diving into creating confidence with clarity. Before we get started, I'd love to introduce myself. I am Davina Maria. I am a coach and founder of the Restore Yourself Method and host of Worthy Woman Facebook group. And I help female go-getters in their 30s develop unshakable confidence so they can powerfully step into their limitless potential. Over to you, Joanna.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Davina. My name is Joanna. I'm a registered psychotherapist and the founder of the Confidence Formula. I help young adults improve their self confidence so that they can become successful. Davina and I got together to create this for you because we strongly believe in the power of community and learning from one another.
And just to clarify, we are not perfect at being confident all of the time. Just like you, we move through our struggles and overcome obstacles and mindsets to continuously improve. So just think of us as guides by your side. So before we get started, I'd love to welcome you back. I've absolutely missed you, Joanna, and it's so good for us to be back again on the Confidence Convos. And I know this week we're talking about confidence and clarity. And I wanted to start off by kind of sharing what I've been doing recently. So I don't know if any of our listeners have heard about the film, which is called The Secret. I didn't even know there was a book. But anyway, I tasked myself over the last week. I wasn't allowed to listen to any music. And while I was commuting, I had to listen to an audiobook. And I thought that would be great because I don't really do audiobooks much. And also, I just thought that I could listen to loads of books as I'm kind of driving around. And the first book that I picked was The Secret. And I've never read it before. And I don't want to kind of spoil it for anyone, but the book is a little bit about the law of attraction. And I know when we were planning this episode, we were talking about clarity and the law of attraction, I think, kind of dives into that. And, we were talking about kind of mindsets and getting clear and kind of thinking about our confidence. So I found it really interesting last week. I managed to listen to a whole book. I don't know how to talk about audiobooks. Are they books? Because you listen to them, but anyway, I managed to read a whole book while listening to it last week, and it was a whole book in a week. I don't think I've ever, well, not for a long time, finished a book in a week. And I feel like one of the lessons in that was about getting crystal clear on what you want.
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the first things we do inside of the confidence formula is to get really crystal clear over the life that you want. And one of the challenges a lot of my clients come into my office and into my program with is I don't know what I want, right? There's like analysis paralysis because I could be anything. I can do anything, some of them believe, right? And it's like, well, which path do I go down? What do I study next? What job do I, apply for next? And the options are really limitless. And then there's the clients who don't believe that they can have any of the things that they think that they want.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where we're going to focus on today is just like when you don't believe that you can have the promotion or the lifestyle or the partner or the whatever that you're looking for, and what needs to happen first before you can even take the steps to get the life that you want.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you've kind of broken it down to, the two different sides of the coin. Where on one hand we are powerful, we're limitless, and we can kind of, think about anything that we want to do. And, there's the old age saying of, you can be whatever you want. And then on the other side, you do have, like you said, a lot of clients that are a bit like, this is what I want, but I don't believe I can have it, or I don't believe I'm worthy of it, or it's not for me, it's what I want, but it doesn't happen to people like me. And I completely agree with you. Whenever I coach clients, the first thing I always ask is, what is it that you want? And I know exactly like you, I've coached women who sometimes come in and say, I have no idea. I know that I'm getting what I don't want, but I don't know what I do want.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, clarity is step one.
Yeah. And so why it's so important from a psychological level, if I can just nerd out for a minute, is because the brain works in wonderful ways and mysterious ways that I'm about to share with you. But what happens is, if you want something, let's say you want a promotion, right? But you don't believe that is possible. You're in a way replaying that version of yourself that's unable to get the promotion, kind of like if you think like replaying a movie, or you're looking at a photograph of yourself like stuck in that role. And what's cool about the brain is you believe what your brain tells you, and the brain doesn't know the difference between what's imagined and what's real. Let me say that again because I said it quickly. The brain does not know the difference between what's imagined and what's real. Right? So you have a picture or a video in your head replaying the scenario of you not being able to get this promotion. So your brain is thinking that I'm not capable of getting the promotion. It's pretty disappointed. And you will probably take the steps to apply for the promotion. And then, you're going to be proven by your actions that you actually can't get the promotion that you want and you're stuck in that role. Right? So it's like a continuous cycle of doom or disappointment. And so what's so cool about the brain is it doesn't know the difference between what's imagined and what's real. It's really hard to say that sentence really quickly. But what's really cool is that you can actually change that picture of yourself, right? Imagine a photograph of yourself in 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, living inside of your brain. And so your brain actually thinks that version of yourself is true, right? It actually believes that version of yourself is possible. So it's actually starting to build new neural networks inside of your brain to help you think that this is possible. And then your brain's a problem-solving machine. So it's coming up with the how-to and the steps in order for you to get to that desired outcome, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have that vision, you don't have that specific image of yourself in that future role, doing that future thing in that future life, right? There's nothing for your brain to work towards because it's easy to stay stuck. It's easy to say not successful in getting that promotion by not doing anything at all. But it's actually harder for the brain to do the work to problem solve for how to actually get there. I think that's really important.
I love that. And I absolutely love it when you nerd out as well. I love learning about all of this. And you'll probably know the actual name for it, but I was reading, I think it was yesterday or this morning, I was reading about how, to touch on to what you said, where, you were saying if you don't have the vision of yourself achieving that goal, you kind of then don't achieve the goal because you don't have the vision, and it's a cycle. And I was reading something, and it was saying something about the brain being biased towards, I don't want to say negativity, but I think it may have been negativity, where it was like it's easier for the brain to kind of be negative than it is for it to be positive. And I think what I was reading was saying that it takes so much more energy sometimes as well. So I think, to touch on what you said, I think sometimes people don't realize, clients don't realize, women don't realize, men don't realize, we all don't realize that our thinking and the clarity of our thinking can actually directly affect the physical outcome of what we want. And, if we have these negative thoughts and we allow, obviously we're all human and we all have negative thoughts. But I think the difference is if we allow those negative thoughts to kind of play over and over again in our mind like a movie, you're going to get the outcome that is within those negative thoughts, the feelings that are within it, the kind of, the outcome. And if you are very much like, I don't deserve that promotion, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So our brains are programmed to think negatively. Why? For evolutionary reasons, right? If we were happy living on rocks and sleeping in caves, we would still be living in rocks and sleeping on caves, right? So our brains want to evolve. They want to grow. Like all living things, they want to grow. And so we are, listening to the negativity of what's wrong with our lives so we can make our lives better, right? And so I think that's what you're thinking about. So And then with that, we're also, looking out into the world for confirmation that these things are actually true, right?
Confirmation bias. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're accumulating all this evidence. So let's say I don't believe that I'm worthy of the promotion. I'm thinking that I'm not, going to get the promotion. I'm actually looking for evidence out in the world of past experience where I haven't got the promotion, or I've been rejected, or I haven't been selected, right? In a, sports team, or in a, project with peers, whatever it is, right? So you're actually accumulating all this evidence to support why you're not going to get whatever it is that you want. You're thinking about the fact that you're not going to get it. You're feeling already disappointed because you're like looking at this movie of yourself playing over and over in your head, right? And then you're not taking the actions necessary. You're too busy watching the movie to take the actions necessary. And then you're actually getting the result of not getting the promotion, which is reaffirming the belief that you were never going to get it in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. And so that cycle is what you're talking about, kind of gets replayed over and over. So, CBT says we can change the way we think about things to change the way that we behave and the way that we feel. But also, just to believe with any bit of yourself that what you want is actually possible, getting that crystal clarity over what you want is the first step of believing that it's possible for you. And if it's possible for you, you might think that I'm capable. You might feel optimistic. You might do the things that are required to get that job, and you might actually get it. You might not, right? But if you don't, you're exactly in the same place with the negative belief, right? But if you do have any belief, it's like a little bit of hope, a little ray of sunshine that is possible for you. And then creating your life around that belief can be a lot more productive than the.
So I'm thinking of a person that maybe comes to us and says, it's too much of a jump for me to go from this point where I don't believe I can get the promotion. I don't believe I can lose the weight. I don't believe I can find the relationship. I don't believe I can be successful in my business, whatever it is. And they're saying it's too much of a big jump for me to go from this point to this point where, it is, I believe I can get the promotion. I believe I can be successful in my business. I believe I can, lose the weight. What do you say to that person? Because I've actually had a conversation with someone a few days ago. She is, losing weight, and I was speaking to her about how she thinks about the losing weight. And I'd love to get your take on what do you say to someone who is in the I don't believe camp, but the I believe camp is just too much. It's too much of a stretch.
Mm-hmm. So what I hear when you say that is that person is too stuck on their lack of ability to know how to change, how to get the idea. And what I would say to that is you don't need to know how. You don't need to know how to lose weight or how to get the promotion or how to, raise your income by whatever number you want, right? You don't need to know the how. What you need to just do for your brain, because your brain, you believe what your brain tells you. So if your brain tells you that there's a photograph or a movie of yourself in the future and there's some ideal lifestyle that you want, you start to look at that image subconsciously and you start to believe that it's possible. That's all you have to do first. You don't need to know how. You just need to believe that it's possible, right? And once you believe that it's possible, so I'm just exiting something that popped up. Once you believe that it's possible, it's about taking the first step. And I sometimes think of it like this. You're walking in a dark room. You're trying to get to the door, right? You can't see in front of you. Maybe you have like a flashlight. You can see like a foot in front of you, but you can't see the entire room, right?
Yeah.
It's a really big room, right? Obviously. And then, you take a couple steps forward into that light that you created. Yeah. And then you take a couple steps forward into that light you've created, that little direction. And then you can see if you're any closer to getting towards that door.
Yeah.
Right. And then as you move forward, the light moves with you. So you get a little bit more clarity about the how. But if your brain doesn't believe it's possible, that flashlight doesn't happen, that first step doesn't happen, and then your brain isn't actually problem solving towards making that thing a reality.
Yeah.
Right. So it's about, first of all, blind trust that this version of yourself in a movie, in a photograph, whatever it is, can be possible. You don't need to know how. And the second thing is actually just taking the first step, because it becomes more clear the more steps you take. It's kind of like driving in fog.
Yeah.
In the dark room, it's like if you're driving in fog, you can't see the whole road, but you can see a little bit of the road to be able to get a little bit further, right? So don't focus on the how, because your brain will figure out the how. That's through trial and error, through problem solving, all the wonderful things our brain does for us. But if we don't believe it's possible, our brain's not even going to start on that journey.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think, fortunately or unfortunately, I think, the how is what we all want to know all the time. And it's really challenging to detach from it. It's really challenging to kind of think, you know what, I'm going to focus on what I want, and I'm going to, use whatever I need to do to feel like I have it, whether that's journaling, meditation, visualizing, a vision board, whatever it is. I'm going to do what works for me, and I'm going to, really like try and embody that vision before I know how it's going to come across. And I think, you know, one of the things that comes to my mind is about faith. Sometimes, there are times in life when we just have to have faith. We can't see the path. We don't know how it's going to turn out. Yeah, we want something, we go for it. And sometimes the outcome is the last piece of the puzzle. You don't know, you don't know what the outcome is going to be. And this young lady that I was chatting to about losing weight, she actually said to me, she said, "Oh, I don't think that I can believe that I'm going to do it, because it's very demoralizing to think about not doing it."
Mm-hmm.
And that was really interesting for me, because I found that, again, when we're talking about the brain, I think it's easier sometimes to believe that we're not going to do it, because A, we can then go, "Oh, why should I bother?" B, we can say, "I knew it." And, it kind of gives us, there's some people that are like, I'd rather lower my expectations so I'm never disappointed. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a lot of clients also don't want to disappoint themselves. And I think sometimes, we kind of touched on, we've touched on confidence and the self-belief so many times in our podcast, but I think it also starts with believing that you can. So before you even have the vision, do you believe that you are capable of doing what it is that you want? If the answer is yes, then let's plug into the vision. And I think sometimes it's almost like a step by step by step thing. You build your own self-belief, you build the sort of the vision that you want, and then you build the belief that you can achieve the vision. And then you kind of jump into the, how is that going to happen? Um, and yeah, I think sometimes it's very overwhelming where people think, "Oh, I've got to jump from I don't believe to I do believe." And then they say, "Oh, I do believe." And then they think, "Oh, I don't believe that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe that I can." And I think the negative inner critic kind of comes into play and is like, "Don't be silly. You're not going to get that promotion." And yeah, I think it is difficult. But I also believe, like you said, it's very much a step by step thing, and kind of seeing a foot in front of you as you go, rather than, wanting to know what the whole journey looks like from start to finish.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really interesting way to look at it as well.
Yeah, and I think, especially when you use like sat nav or GPS to get to where you're going, it doesn't like give you the whole journey on the screen. It only gives you like the left turn here and the right turn here, and then, so it for me it's exactly the same thing. If you don't expect your sat nav to tell you the whole way right now, why would you want that with a promotion, for example? Why would you think, "Oh, I have to know everything. I must know whether I'm going to get it. I have to know how it's going to happen." And, yeah, sometimes I think maybe we make things slightly harder than we need to.
And not to mention, with like a GPS system, sometimes it reroutes, but you still get
True.
yourself to the end destination, right? So like we
Yeah.
we're saying, as long as you have the clarity about the end result, your navigation system that works inside your brain, inside your body, will direct you to where you're going to go at, eventually. You're going to get there.
Yeah.
But you need to believe that you're still going to where you want to be over and over again.
100%. And I actually love this analogy of, like, GPS or sat nav, because it's so it's just so good. We trust our smartphones. We follow our smartphones. They tell us where to go and we just follow.
Mhm.
How, I think that's exactly how things should be once you have clarity on what you want. Trust, have faith, and all will be revealed in time.
Yeah. And a couple of things that came up while you were talking, the idea of like having faith. What's the alternative? Right? Staying stuck, to me, is the alternative of not having faith or believing that you can change. So you're not happy staying stuck. If you have faith, you might be disappointed, but then you're still disappointed, right? So either way, with faith, you have a little bit more motivation, to take some action, in my mind.
Yeah, totally. And I know, we've spoken about the fear of failure as well. I think, even when you have faith, there might still be an element of fear that it might not work out. But I think going for it is you have more of a chance of reaching your goal than if you don't.
Yeah.
And I think being clear on that goal is, like we've said at the beginning of this, being clear on that goal is always step number one. You've got to know where you're going before you can kind of set off.
Yeah. Doing nothing, you're exactly stuck where you are anyways. So you might as well do something.
Yeah, totally. So before we kind of wrap up, I know we're speaking about clarity. If someone is unsure about what they want, let's imagine that we have someone who feels like, I'm happy to trust, I'm happy to have faith, I'm happy to kind of plug into the vision and, embody it and see what happens. But I don't know. I have no idea what I want. What would you say to them?
Making a list, checking it twice. I would say down all the possibilities, right? And just think about yourself in those roles. How does it feel to be in those roles or in that lifestyle? Spend some time reflecting. Does this feel in line with yourself? Is it what someone else wants of me? Ask yourself some really good questions over all the possibilities that you wrote down there. And maybe over time, you might become a little bit more clear. Or the other option is just to try things, right?
Yeah.
Just to try a different job, just to try a different way of living, just to try living in a different place. And then you'll get the information from your experience, whether you liked it or not. If you didn't like it, you're still going to learn something from the experience that's going to help you make a better decision for your future, right? So either think about it, ruminate, reflect on it in the present, or start taking some action and deciding based on that action if it was right for you or not. And if it's not right for you, make different choices.
Yeah, I 100% I agree with you. I think so many things start with taking action, don't they? Even if you don't know fully what's going to happen, so many doors kind of open up as soon as you start taking action. I think the only things I would add to what you've said is, to touch on when you said, think about it, make a list, all of that. I would say think about the things that absolutely light you up. Everyone has things that we love doing, and sometimes following something that you love will open a door to something else, and it's sort of on the path that you then think, oh, okay, this is what I really want to do. And in the meanwhile, if you're following the path of something you love, you're going to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I would say is, at times like this, sometimes knowing what you don't want actually comes in handy. Like, we don't want to ruminate on what we don't want. We don't want to bring in more of what we don't want into our lives. However, knowing what you don't want sometimes gives you kind of parameters to start off with, because you can think, right, I know I don't want this, this, and this. Okay. And then you can kind of move on from that point. So yeah, I think that's what I would suggest as well.
Yeah. Really good stuff.
Absolutely love it. It's been so great chatting with you on this topic. Welcome back again. So exciting to have you back. And we will be back together in 2 weeks' time. And for more information on who we are, what we do, and our love of all things confidence and self-development, you can find or follow us from our social media information, which will be posted below in the comments. And if you've liked what you've heard, feel free to like, share, or subscribe. And we will see you in 2 weeks' time.
See you soon.